Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Red Max TV. Hope you guys are all doing well where you are. And obviously the UK is on lockdown, so hope you are staying safe. And make sure, please listen to what Boris is saying. It is very important, and we do stay at home, because by doing this we will save other people's lives and many people's lives around the world. So please make sure you guys are listening to him and staying safe, and make sure you guys do wash your hands. And yeah, let's just get into the video. So I was going to rate Manchester United players this season so far. This doesn't include likes of Rowe, who's left the club, and Odion, Igalo and Bruno will get marked on their instant impact in the club. So let's just get straight into it. If it's a long one, that's my fault, guys, but make sure you guys do like and subscribe, because you've been killing it on the likes recently. I think we got 75 on the last video, so that's just brilliant. I hope you guys keep up that, because it is helping me a lot. But let's get into the video. So kicking things off, David De Gea in goal, which kicks off with a 6 out of 10. I don't think he's been the same this season, David De Gea. He obviously got that massive wage to keep him at the club and make him the most expensive goalie. But other than that, he's not been what we have expected him to be this season. I mean, the David De Gea 2013-14 has completely disappeared, in my opinion. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's lost his confidence, if the wage is getting to him, but he's just been not himself, and it is very concerning to see, because he has obviously signed that contract that keeps him at the club, so we do expect him to get back to the levels he once was. But for me, a 6 out of 10 is pretty worthy for him. He's had some mistakes in net, obviously costing us 3 points in that game against Crystal Palace in the earlier stage of the season, that game against Everton, which was a shocking mistake. I know all keepers make mistakes, but to make so many in a season, he's been iffy, and that's why he does get a 6 out of 10. But tell me what you guys do think, because hopefully he can get back to the levels we once saw him at. But next up, obviously Sergio Romero. For me, one of the best backups in the entire world for football, in my opinion. When we've called on him, he's been absolutely brilliant in cup games and Europa League games. It's when he does play, and I think he's saved us so many times, and he's made some really key saves to keep us in games. And for me, I'm surprised nobody has really came in for Romero, because he would get in most teams' first goalie. But obviously, will he move soon? I don't know. But for me, when he's been called upon, he's been brilliant, so I hope to keep him. But he does get 8 out of 10 for me, because when he does, as I said, when he does get called on, he is there every game. But next up, let's get into the defenders. So kicking things off, Eric Bailly, who I can only rate on recent games, really, because he has had that massive injury, which he does get all the time now, which is really concerning, because when he does play, he is really strong in that position, and he's so confident on the ball. He's confident as a defender, and all-around game is very good. So for me, for the last recent games I've seen him in, definitely does get an 8 out of 10, because he's been really good. He's rough on the ball. He makes some tackles when he needs to. He's violent in the tackles, and he's just so confident. You can believe in him when he's on the ball, which is a key essential thing for a defender. But yeah, so he gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Not much you can say on him, really, unless you've only seen him recently, because he has been injured. But next up, Victor Lindelof, who this season, he's maintained that first place team membership alongside Harry Maguire. And for me, he's very underrated, Victor Lindelof. I think he does have his worries about getting back, using his pace, because I don't think he's the fastest player. And making tackles, he is brilliant, and blocking the balls, I think he is absolutely brilliant. But one thing about Lindelof which does scare me is that on the ball, he's not the best, because when he does get given the ball off De Gea next to it, he does while on it too long, and it just scares you a bit, and that's what I don't like about him. But yeah, there was a stat about him that he hasn't been dribbled past recently, so one-on-ones he is very reliable on, which is a key thing as well for that defender, because if you're good at 1v1s, most of the time strikers aren't going to get past you. So he's very underrated in my opinion, and I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. So next up, Harry Maguire, who also gets an 8 out of 10 for me, because as soon as he came in for the club, he had that massive price tag on him, and people expected him to be that world-class defender straight away, which is absolutely wrong in my opinion, because everyone needs time to settle in. And I think Maguire recently, in the last few games, since he got that goal against Chelsea, he has settled in. You can tell he has that passion for Manchester United when he celebrates. For that goal against Chelsea, he went into the crowd, celebrated, and gave that man a high five, and he just doesn't have that passion about him when he does play. But For me, he came in, he was a bit sloppy, Harry Maguire. I didn't think he was the most calm on the ball. He was taking too long what he was doing. He was making some mistakes, but since that Chelsea goal, I think he's been brilliant. I think he wins every header. He does have that target from corners now. Bruno is in because they know each other now. They know where Maguire will be when he crosses the ball, and I think you can believe in Maguire now because recently he's been solid at the back alongside Lindelof. He knows where he is most of the time. He knows where the pass is, and he's very, very strong. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 because I do think he has been really, really good when he has came in. But most people I think will disagree with me. Tell me if you do, because obviously we do have our own opinions. But next up, obviously going into fullbacks, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who has come in and he has lit up the show in my opinion. He has taken that right back spot for his own, and for me, I'm going to give him a 8 out of 10 as well. I was going to maybe put a 9, but there was some worries I do have about him. And that's, of course, with him going forward. Because his defensive game is absolutely brilliant. I had Sterling in his pocket twice when we do play Manchester City. When we did play him twice, obviously, Sterling couldn't get past him. His tackling is absolutely brilliant. 100% win rate of tackles. I know that he doesn't have that, but he should, because every tackle he goes in for is absolutely won. But my query is him going forward, because he does have that ability to defend, but going forward he is a bit iffy. I mean, he does have a good cross on him when he gets forward, but it's about getting past the player and producing that end product, which, to be fair, recently he has been doing, but he's not been doing it since he has came in, so that's why he doesn't really get the 9 out of 10 that I was going to give him. But there's not much you can say about him that's wrong. I think he's came in. It was a great buy by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he's going to be our right back for a while, I think. I think Dalot will struggle to get ahead of him, but Wan-Bissaka, for me, definitely an 8 out of 10. I think he's been solid since he has come in, and hopefully he maintains that. So you can always count on him as well to win that tackle, and he just knows that defensive game really, really well. So next up, obviously, Diego Dalot, who is obviously second place right back. He hasn't had too many games this season. We did buy him, obviously, and when he does come in, he has been all right. He has that pace. That's one thing you can say about Diego Dalot. He does have that pace, but it's his defensive ability to read the play, in my opinion. I think he's very poor at doing that, because he does love a good step over, Diego Dalot, and he can produce magic, and I think in the future he will be a key asset to this team. But when I've seen him, he doesn't look that confident, but obviously you will get that with players like Dalot, but in my opinion, he will be getting a 6 out of 10. I don't think he's been that good when he's came in, but he's been okay, if you know what I mean. But let's get into the next one. So obviously Luke Shaw, who comes in at I'm going to give him, it's a hard one, Luke Shaw, because for me, I think he's done all right for himself, but throughout the season, it's been half and half. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10 for Luke Shaw. I think as soon as the season started, I think he was looking very, very poor. I think, of course, we all know Luke Shaw for being a bit chubby. That's what Mourinho called him out for, and he was being called out for not knowing his position. He's being told Mourinho was always telling him what to do, but from the start of the season, he was looking poor, and that's why Brandon Williams did come in for him, who I'll get to in a minute. But since Williams has come in, I think Luke Shaw has realised that he needed that competition of Williams to maintain his spot and to maintain his confidence, which he does have now. I think he's came in for Williams. He's got his place back because he has been very, very good recently. And one thing I like about Shaw is that he doesn't be scared to get forward. He loves putting in a cross, and he is there to have a shot. He always is confident on the ball, and when the shot is there, he will take that shot. And defensively, he does get torn apart many more than usual, but he just needs to work on that bit, because he does get skinned, like in the likes of the City game. Mahrez was skinning him, Salah was skinning him, and I just don't think he has that pace to get back, because he is not that well built of a player. But since Williams has come in, you can only praise Shaw for being how good he is. So he gets a 6 out of 10. For me, Williams also gets a 6 out of 10, because Williams has obviously came into the club and first team stature under a load of pressure, in my opinion. The games he's been involved in, the likes of City's, the likes of Chelsea games he's been involved in, involved in really big games. And for Williams to come up and be as good as he is right now, is really, really impressive for me, and I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was right to believe in him, because one thing I like about Williams is, again, he really does like to get forward on the ball, and he's confident. He's confident as a young, he's like a Greenwood. He's really confident, and he does love a good derby game, or he doesn't get scared of fighting another person as well, which I really do like, because it shows that intensity in his game and that he is willing to give his all for Manchester United, which he does have that passion for. But Williams, for me, defensively, he can be a bit worrying in one-on-one situations where he does get taken on most of the time and he does slip most of the time. But going forward, you can only praise him, because he does love to get a cross in. He's had some woeful misses. He could have scored 2 or 3 goals since he had come into the club, but for me, Williams and Shaw have been very similar in what they do, and they've been both average in my opinion. But yeah, so he gets a 6 as well. But he's been very impressive since he's came in, and I've been impressed with him. So tell me what you guys think of Brandon Williams. We're obviously getting into the next one. Obviously, midfielders, starting off with Paul Pogba. For me, Pogba, he's not been himself again this season. He's been similar to a David De Gea. Obviously, he's had that massive injury, which has kept him out for a very, very long time. And when he did start early on in the season, he did look a bit poor, a bit sloppy in his game. I don't think he was happy at the club. But with me, it's a really weird situation, which I hope we can get around, because having Williams and Pogba in that midfield will be... No, not Williams. Having Bruno and Pogba in that midfield will be very, very essential, in my opinion. But obviously, Pogba, as I just said, he hasn't been himself this season. I think he's lost confidence again, and I think his eyes are on like Real Madrid or Juventus, going back to one of those clubs, because I don't think he believes United can get back to that winning trophies stature that we are known of. So tell me what you guys think about Pogba. I think he's only valuable at 5 out of 10 for me. He is still one of the best midfielders in the world, but for me, he's been very, very poor this season. He's not been himself, and hopefully he does come back much stronger and much better. But obviously that is kicking off in the midfielders, and obviously Juan Mata, who also does come in at a 5 out of 10 for me, because Mata, for me, he's getting old now. Obviously, his knowledge of the game is still there, of course, and he still does have that ping of a pass that we all know him for. But for me, he's getting old now. He's getting more slow, and the game is getting a lot faster for his liking. So for me, I'm going to give him, as I said, a 5 out of 10, because I don't think he can really play anymore. I think for cup games and Europa League games, he can cope with that well. We've seen that. He scores goals still, which is impressive, but we can always believe in Mata to maybe teach the younger guys in the club, and maybe he's happy getting less game time, because he doesn't really mind that. But for me, when he has played, he's been alright, but he's just not up to the speed anymore. So, and he is looking a lot slower as the days go on. So he gets a 5 out of 10 for me. He's still in a team, which is impressive. He's still giving confidence to the team, and I do think his days are getting to the end now. But of course, he gets a 5 out of 10. And obviously, Jesse Lingard. 1 out of 10. I'm being completely serious there. 1 out of 10 for Jesse Lingard. I think he has been so bad this season that he doesn't even deserve a rate. He doesn't even deserve a rate out of 10. He is totally getting as a 1 out of 10. Because I don't even think he deserves one. I'm not even going to give him one. No. I'm not even going to give him a grade out of 10. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to just go on to the next one. Because Lingard, for me, move on. Please move on. He doesn't even get a grade. He's not even getting a grade. So, next one, Pereira. What can you say about him, really? I think Pereira definitely gets a... It's hard for Pereira, because he's also been very, very poor. I'm going to give him a 3 out of 10, because he does try for the club. He tries his hardest. He goes out there with passion every time, tries to create anything he can. But the thing with Pereira, his decision-making lets him down massively. I think in many more situations he needs to improve on is definitely his decision-making, because there is these chances in games where he's got maybe Rashford and Martial to the both sides of him, and he decides to shoot, and that's totally the wrong idea. I know he's trying his best for the club, and he wants to shoot many times as he can each game, but there's other options, and you need to produce the best for the team you are playing for. So for me, he gets a 3 out of 10. As I said, he does try his hardest for the club, but he definitely needs to work on his decision making, and Ollie still believes in him, but hopefully he does get better, but I can't really see it. But he gets definitely a 3 out of 10 for me. And next up, Fred. Fred came into this club with a lot of worries from United fans. There was that he's too slow for the game, he's not good enough for Manchester United, and oh God, how has he proved us wrong? Because recently, well, half the season ago, Fred has been absolutely phenomenal. He has been a really good centre mid for us. He knows the game well now. He's adapted to English football. And overall, I just think he's got that confidence back. I think, of course, from Shakhtar Donetsk, it's a very, very big difference from there to England. Obviously from there to England. But for me, Fred definitely gets a 9 out of 10 for me. I think he has been absolutely brilliant. People have now turned their back on him, and now they're turning it around again, and they're on his side because he has been performing, as well as Matic. I'll get onto him soon, but he has been performing, and he's been putting in those 9 out of 10 performances every single game. There is a few rules about him that he does hold onto the ball for a long time, but he's not scared anymore. He's not scared of the league. He can definitely run that midfield. He has the energy to, and I think he's absolutely. I've changed my mind about him now. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal, and he deserves all the praise he gets. So he definitely getting a 9 out of 10, and hopefully he can keep that up. But obviously next up, Bruno Fernandes. What can you say about him, really? He's came in, he's made that instant impact that no one expected, really. We didn't expect him to be as good as he is so far. And so he definitely gets a 9 out of 10 on how good he has been so far. I think he knows the game better than anybody in the team right now. He has that shot, that free kick about him. He knows the pass. He has that knowledge of the game, as I just said. And he has absolutely changed his team. And I do think he will go on to become a legend at Manchester United because he doesn't take any shit. He does not take any shit. And he just knows the game. He gets angry when he gets angry at players when he doesn't deserve that pass, and rightly so, because all players should feel like that when they do not get that pass. Of course, there was the time against City when James was going forward, Bruno was right there, and Bruno's right to get angry at James, because it will only teach him and make him get better with his decision making. And I think he's that true leader and captain that we've been calling out for a while now. So I'm happy and looking forward to the future, what it holds for Bruno Fernandes. But yeah, so he gets a 9 out of 10 for instant impact. Next up, Daniel James. Daniel James, for me, Daniel James has come in and he's been told he wasn't going to play many games because he was going to be that backup, but he's been playing more than he expected, and I think that is getting to him because he is losing that energy that he does have, and I think it is blowing up on him that he is getting the amount of games that he is getting. But for me, Daniel James does get a 6 out of 10 because, as I said, it's the same as Pereira, really. His decision-making does need to get better. He's a young player, though, and, of course, that does have an impact on him because he always wants to go forward and just shoot. He has that confidence in him, but he needs to realise that this is more than just him playing by himself, that he needs to look up, he needs to maintain that knowledge because that is key as a forward for himself. Because one thing I love about James, he runs and runs and runs, and he pushes the ball forward, runs after it. That is what James is known for, and that is what he is so effective at, which is very good. We need a player like that, but needs that end impact, in my opinion. That end impact is important because obviously we need goals in this team, but James will only improve, in my opinion. He's a young player, and he will read the game better as time goes on, and I think he will go on to be a pretty good player at Manchester United. I think as time builds, he will get that confidence that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will thrive on him. So he gets a 5 out of 10 for me. I think, of course, James can improve in the future. But next up, obviously, Matic. Matic, his time looked up at United and he wasn't getting played as much. Apparently there was rumours that he was going to leave United. And then, of course, Pogba got injured. Matic came in and wow. How impressed can you be at that? I think as soon as Matic came in after Pogba, he wanted to make a statement that he is still available and he is still a member of that Man UFC team, in which I think he has completely deserved. He's deserved every single bit of my credit that I am giving him right now over the last few games since Pogba got injured. I think as a CDM, Matic is a complete CDM. I think he has that. He just needs to hold it up, make that pass, and just control that midfield when obviously they're attacking the play. But he has done really well since he has come in for Pogba. I think just him being there has helped Manchester United win a lot of games. I think his hold-up play is brilliant. He knows where the passes are. He likes to go forward as well now. I've seen that change. That of course, we saw under Mourinho always passing back to De Gea. He now likes to see that gap forward and run through that. So that's good to see. And I think he's absolutely changed my mind on him as well. So Fred and Matic, complete well done to them. I think they have changed my mind about him and changed his team around. And Matic, you can only praise him recently. And you can only praise the guy. So he gets a solid 8 out of 10 for me. I think the start of the season, he was quite poor. But as time built on, he absolutely improved. And I think Pogba having that injury was a message to Matic to try harder, and he has done that. And we have been impressed with him. Ole has been impressed with him, and many others have been impressed with him. So he gets an 8 out of 10. And last up, McTominay. For me, McTominay, he thrives Manchester United. He has that passion for the club. He's obviously from the youth, and for me, absolutely brilliant. He's came in this season as a first team player under a load of pressure really, because obviously Pogba being injured and McTominay and Fred needed to hold that midfield. And for me, McTominay, he tries his hardest for the club, and that is one thing I do like. Of course, I like that with James, I like that with Pereira, but one thing about McTominay is that when he does lose the ball, he's waiting on that floor. He's not really trying that hardest to get it back. And I think that's one thing I do not like about McTominay, but one thing you got to like is obviously his passion. I think he loves to go forward, he loves to try his hardest for United, and he's obviously born and bred United, so he is going to be there trying for the club. But for me, I'm going to give McTominay a 7 out of 10. I think coming in for first team is very, very hard thing to do, and maintain that position is a hard thing to do. So I'm going to give it to McTominay. He's been all right, and of course he scored that hammer blow goal for City to make it 2-0. And of course McTominay will get confidence off of that really, and you can see it in his eyes that his passion bleeds United. And I was so happy he scored that. But he gets a 7 out of 10 for me. So tell me what you guys think on that. And last up, the forwards, of course. Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial, for me, he's had his worries this season, really, hasn't he? Martial, of course, got his number 9 back, of course, from being on the wing, and Rashford has changed now. And I think Martial, the thing people don't like about him is his work rate. Of course, his work rate is what people don't like about him. And for me, you don't have to have that work rate as a forward. It's nice to see, like Rashford, he will try his hardest to get that ball back. But for me, Martial, he's that killer player. And I believe one day he can be that Thierry Henry-esque player that Thierry Henry once was. Because Martial, he has that knowledge about him. He has the finishing about him. You can definitely rely on him one-on-ones. And for me, as a striker, to rely on someone like that is essential, because we need goals. And I think Martial brings the goals. And he definitely has proven this season that he can be the future for Manchester United if he continues like he is. But yeah, there's one thing I don't like about him as well. I said his work rate. But for me, Martial definitely is gonna get an 8 out of 10 for me. An 8 out of 10 because his knowledge of the game is there. I think his finishing is definitely there. His hold-up play is brilliant. He loves a bit of skill there. He's confident on the ball. He's all of those that we do need in a striker. And yeah, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. I think he's been solid this season. People do underestimate him, really, in my opinion. But for me, definitely an 8 out of 10. But next up, obviously, Marcus Rashford. 10 out of 10 for me. You have to give it to Rashford. He has saved our season, and he has been, obviously, our best player this season, in my opinion. As soon as that first goal went in, you knew he was going to get many, many more goals. He has been our saviour this season. He's been incredible. There's not much you can say about that guy there, really, is there? But 10 out of 10 for me, and hopefully he stays like that, because obviously he did get that really gutting injury that we all didn't want to see, really, because I reckon he was going to be up there for Golden Boot, in my opinion. I think he was close to it already. He's got 10 plus goals already. He's been brilliant for United. His work rate's there. He loves United. It's all there to see, and hopefully he does become a future of Manchester United very soon. But obviously he gets a 10 out of 10, I mean. A 10 out of 10 for Rashford. Exceptional, and definitely our best player this season. And where would we be without Rashford, really? Because he's been absolutely phenomenal this season. But next up, obviously, is Odion Ighalo, who's came in as a a rest season player really, just for this season, was not going to get a contract, and how damn has he proved us wrong really. We expected him to come and maybe score 1 or 2 goals for the rest of the season. He's already scored 2 goals. He's already done that, and for me, that goal against, who was it, Las Lindsay scored, where he hit up on his left, onto his right, banged it in, was absolutely brilliant. I thought that was on his weak foot as well. That was exceptional, and for me, he's, for instant impact, he's going to get 8 out of 10. I don't think he's been at Bruno's level, but to come in and be as good as he is, we know he's that little, that built player who's not going to run around that fast. He is, of course, from the Chinese league, and they're all not very fast players over there, are they? So, of course, he came in as a replacement sign-in for the rest of the season, and for Rashford's injury, and he's been brilliant, to say the least. And does he deserve a contract? There's reports that he will get a 15 million contract in the talks. So tell me what you guys think down below of that. But he gets an 8 out of 10, and you can't ask more from what he's doing right now. So obviously, last 2, Mason Greenwood. What can you say about Mason Greenwood? I think Mason Greenwood has been very, very good this season. For a 19-year-old to come in and be as good as he is for United right now is absolutely brilliant. He has that RVP-like shot about him. He's confident on the ball. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rated him as one of the best finishers at the club, and you can totally see that. That goal against Newcastle that he scored, brilliant. That goal against Las Glins, brilliant. He has goals in him, and he definitely does have a big, big future at Manchester United, because Greenwood's brilliant. He's probably one of the best youth players I've seen in a while come out of Manchester United. And we do have Gomez, who's not being played, so I can't really rate the guy because I don't know why he's not being played. But we're talking about Greenwood here. And, of course, brilliant player. He loves United. He has that finish about him. He knows where the goal is. He's been brilliant. So he gets an 8 out of 10 for me. And, of course, Tahith Chong is the last one coming in at a... I'm going to rate Chong is probably a 5 out of 10. Because when we've seen him, he's been really, really poor. He had that open goal miss, which was diabolical. I think I could have scored that. But Chong, for me, he can only improve. He obviously signed a contract now to keep him at the club, which means Ole does believe in him. So there is obviously signs there. He's doing well for the under-21s as well. So that's really good. You can see improvement there. But first team action, I think he's been quite poor. And I do get frustrated with him sometimes because he does have that, he doesn't really have that knowledge of where the play is. But, of course, he's going to get a 5 out of 10, but he can only improve. So, tell me what you guys think down below of my ratings, guys. It's quite a long video, so just leave a like if you could. It would take my time out of the day. And make sure you guys do stay safe, and I'll be there with another video very, very soon.